he thought it might be a good idea. We have one of these at Deepdale with every past player of the year that we can get our hands on, and it was a nice turnout, and there was a lot of question and answer, and it was a big success. So we thought we'd do it in this education forum. So we're going to maybe we'll open it up a little bit. We only have about 5 minutes per person, so we want to just kind of cover a little bit of their history, and then maybe open it up for a couple of questions. First, we have actually got like the new breed, what I call the new breed, Danny Balin. I don't know if y'all know that Danny Balin kind of started at a late age, about 19 or 20, but I think it'd be kind of, Danny, if you kind of get up and maybe speak a little bit about how you felt like you got to this high level of golf in such a short time. Danny?
Well, growing up, I played soccer, and I had two brothers, one older brother, one younger brother, and we were very competitive athletes against each other. And you know, picking up golf, I was always competitive in soccer, and then I figured, you know, I wanted to play golf, and I wanted to be competitive. So to do that, you have to spend a lot of time practicing and playing, and not only hitting balls on the range, but getting into those competitive situations, playing the game. So, you know, we all work very long days, but I decided that I would get up, or during the season from April to October, I'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'd get to work early to be able to practice before kind of my day began. And I've done that for maybe 6 or 7 years now, where I get to work at 6 o'clock, I hit balls, practice my putting, and then I don't get home to my house till 8 or 9 o'clock at night, because after work, after I'm done teaching, I usually go to Old Oaks and we play a lot of golf. We like to compete, we like to kind of beat each other. So that's kind of how I got to where I am, just by spending a lot of time practicing and a lot of time playing outside of my club. I also spent a lot of time with Mike Diffley and on the mental side of the game, being able to really tell myself that I can do it. Whatever I put my mind to, I can succeed. I can train my mind to put myself in different situations and know that I can succeed in those situations, or make that 5-foot putt or 10-foot putt that I need to win a golf tournament or to qualify for a tournament. So that's something that I do. I read a lot of mental books. One book, which I listed on here, that I think has really helped me kind of take the next step is this book called Mind Gym, and it doesn't talk so much about golf, it just talks about professional athletes, and one of those athletes is Michael Jordan, and how he makes a free throw in front of 30,000 people. How he kind of collects himself, gets up to the line, and makes that key free throw to win a game. So that's kind of something that I do. I like to read books not just about the mental side of the game. I think that's helped me get to kind of the next level, or take the next step towards the next level.
A couple questions for Danny. You played pretty well over the winter. Won the match play?
I lost in the finals in the match play.
Match play?
Won the stroke play.
Won the stroke play. So you great play this winter.
I know. Yeah, so I played great this winter. You know, I kind of, when I play in a tournament, you're there for a purpose. You're there to try to compete and try to win, and it's something that you really have to tell yourself. You know, I don't spend all winter down in Florida anymore like I used to. So the time that I am there, I spend a lot of time practicing when I am down there, because I'm down there for a reason. You know, I'm down there to try to make a little bit of extra cash, as well as, you know, try to win these tournaments, try to get your name up in that PGA golf club next to Frank Benzyl. So that's big. Well, his name's all over it because he has a couple of victories. But yeah, this winter was great. You know, I won a tournament and I came in second, but I also lost in 2 playoffs in a couple of tournaments that I really wanted to qualify for. So although it was great to win, I also, you know, had the feeling of losing, which makes me want to kind of get back out there again and work a little bit harder, so that the next time I'm in that situation, I can succeed.
Well, you know, he tried to qualify for the Honda. He shot 64 before to get in the pre-qualifying to qualify on Monday, and what, shoot 66 in the qualifier, and then
66 in the qualifier, and then on
the playoff, right?
yeah, the first playoff hole, I had a chance to qualify. The other two guys, there was 3 for one spot, and the other 2 guys had made par, and I had about 4.5 feet for birdie. And I just hit it a little too hard and missed. And if I had made that, I would have played in the Honda. And you know, I ended up making bogey on the second hole, and another guy got in. And as hard as that is, you know, I can't kind of let that define me. I have to kind of get back out there and work a little bit harder so that the next time I'm in that situation, I can make that putt to be able to putt.
Yeah, you know, I hear stories like that, and I think it's kind of, the game is as much mental as it is physical for you to, like, play that well and still, you know, not have the success, but to qualify, but then to get right back on the horse and jump right into it. Probably good for some of the systems to know, you know, if I get beat up in a Monday outing, or Monday assistance event, well, you're getting low down and send the shoot bad score, to get right back on the.
You just have to know that that's just an experience that's going to hopefully help you in the future, help you in another situation later on that instead of, I don't want to say failing, but instead of not playing that well, that you can play better the next time. And use that as a benefit and not, you know, as a bad thing.
All right, next we got Frank Benzyl. Frank Benzyl, you know, I consider probably one of the most consistent players in the country. You know, he's been doing this for quite a while, and you know, me being at Century, I know how busy he is teaching. This guy is one of the premier PGA professionals, I think, because I know you know, he teaches a lot there at Century, but he is a very consistent player and he's busy with his family and everything. So you can just tell us a little bit of why you think you play so well, why you won the Player of the Year, why you know, won the stroke play this year. But I'd kind of like to know, how do you kind of combine the work and the play at the same time?
Well, Daryl, it is a hard thing. Everybody here works hard, and playing it is something. Playing the game is something that we all love to do, and otherwise we probably wouldn't be here. But I think it's the love of the competition that brings us to the game. And that's how it's been for me. I've always loved to compete and play in different sports and games. And I played as a kid, so I got a taste of the tournament life when I was young. And then when I got into the business, I found there was a lot of other things in the golf business, teaching and you know, the other stuff that goes along with the golf operation. But the teaching and the playing part of it is something that I really enjoyed, and when I learned other things about teaching, it really helped my game. So I think having the competitive part about it, and then learning from so many other people about how to better yourself, that has helped me a lot in competing. But as far as budgeting your time management is the hardest thing. And I don't think that I'm always prepared to play in tournaments, but when I do try and prepare, you have to use your time management. And there is a lot that goes into it, Daryl, as we all know. But some of the things that you just have to do in preparing for some tournaments is some of the basic things. You got to look out far in advance of your tournaments. Working out the logistics of your travel plans and things like that, and then you can try and prepare yourself physically for a lot of these events. For me, I'm not like Tiger Woods. I don't get to go to the gym every day, or maybe he doesn't go to the gym as much as he used to. But, I have to be, if I don't physically prepare for these events, then I might be sore or tight, or I'm not going to be able to hit the ball as well. So for me, getting in shape leading up to a tournament is important. Stretching. When I practice, I think that'll physically get me ready for it. Walking the golf course. You're going to be able to walk golf courses in some of your practice rounds and things like that. But at the club, if you can carry your bag and get your legs under you, get your stamina, that will help tremendously when you go to play in a tournament. You have to walk. So those are some of the things that are very important in my opinion. As far as some of the other preparations that you can do for a tournament that I learned a long time ago is I was playing in one of the club programs with Bobby Hines, and my driver broke when I was on the trip, and Bobby, I'm sure he'll remember this, and he ripped me for not having a backup. You know, I don't know who has a backup driver these days, but it's always good to be prepared if you go on a trip to have your equipment straightened out, and if you need to have backup, and if you can fit all that stuff in your bag or your car or whatever, it's important to have a backup driver, as Bobby was telling me, and maybe some wedges. If you're in a tournament and a specific course requires you to have an extra wedge in your bag, bring an extra wedge and work on that wedge. Or an extra hybrid, something that instead of a wedge, that's important to use. So those are some of the things that I focus on. As far as the prior to a tournament, I do like to play as much as I can, rather than just beat balls. I think that getting out on the golf course and hitting shots on the course is really important, rather than just going to the range and beating balls all the time. And you know, that's good to build up your strength and getting a feel for your tempo and everything. But getting on the course, I think, helps me the most to prepare for my ball striking. And then other than that, working on the short game is really a key component to playing well in the events. I try and putt as much as I can. Some people like Darryl probably don't ever need to practice their putting, but I think Darryl, you need to practice a little bit. But putting, for me, if I can get the putter going, then I feel like I can really do well in a tournament. So I try and get out and play, and then work on my putting as much as I can prior to an event, and hopefully that'll help me out. It didn't help me out yesterday, so I got to work on my putting a little bit. Did that answer the question?
Pretty much, yeah. We're going to have a couple of questions that you're going to ask each person after we get a little summary of each person. Next, we have Greg Biscotti. He won the Player of the Year in 2009. I consider Greg probably like the section's Luke Donald. He doesn't overpower, kind of like a modern day meet kind of maybe. He doesn't overpower a golf course, but he won a big tournament in Mexico against a really strong field this year. Can really play and play well in this championship. Just a consistent player day in and day out. And I know you're very busy in your job also. Can you maybe just talk about some of your key points that you think made you Player of the Year?
Before you start, did you compare his length and your length?
Well, I've got to clarify that. With the rocket balls this year, I'm quite a bit longer. So. Yeah, I think Danny and Frank touched on a lot of the same things that we're all going to touch on here. Things that are important to me are time management, taking care of my body so I'm in shape to play a golf tournament, because as Frank alluded to, it's, walking 4 days in the National Club Pro or walking for 3 days at the Black Course is tough, so keeping your body in shape is important. And then for me, it's all about playing. And it's good to see, just thumbing through these notes, that pretty much everyone's got the same thoughts. I've had conversations with guys in the past about what they do. Some guys will go to the range and beat balls for a half hour. If they have free time, I'll go play 2 or 3 holes. To me, it's more important about getting out on the course, hitting shots, visualizing shots. So I use the course as my range. Also, obviously, it's tough to get out on the range and hit balls because our members want our time. So getting on the course is a little bit of an escape. I highlighted a couple of things here that really worked well for me when I was younger. Danny alluded to a lot about the mental game. I ran into a guy 20 years ago, Evan Schiller, who many of you may know. Works with Fred Shoemaker out in California. And he really introduced me to the mental game, and it was part of the game that really changed things for me. So something I did years ago when I was playing mini tours out of college is I kept a diary of what went on during my rounds of golf. Like many of us, I'd start out, play a couple good rounds, and then falter in the final round for any number of reasons. But I would keep a diary of what went on that day. And I still do. I don't write it down as much anymore, but I keep in my mind what happened if something went wrong in the final round. That way I can be held accountable for it, I can take responsibility for it and try and make some changes, and that's worked really well for me. As far as practice, I like to work on my swing early in the season. I don't play during the winter, so when I come out I like to hit some balls. I like to, if I'm taking lessons, I want to take some lessons early in the season. When the season gets going, I just want to play golf. I try to keep it as simple as possible. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. I think Frank alluded to what he does. I mean, I'm the same way. I like to work on putting. I feel like if I get the ball rolling, then I've got a good shot to compete well. Time management, or I should backtrack a second. Creating goals is probably one of the most important things I do for myself as well. At least it keeps me focused on what I'm trying to do. So I sit down at the beginning of the season. I've got some long-term goals, some short-term goals. This season I have 2 goals. I would like to, performance-wise, win the National Club Pro. So that keeps me working hard every day and thinking about it and trying to achieve that. And the short-term goal is really to work on my time management. I've always had a problem practicing, not because I don't like to, but just because we're always trying to take care of our members at the club. So this year I'm really trying to work on time management, block off some time to practice, maybe leave the facility at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon and go play somewhere else. So that's a big goal for me. I think, finally for preparation and practice, really playing practice rounds. We all sign up for these tournaments. They cost a lot of money. We want to do our best. We're taking time off from work to play them. Playing a practice round, walking the course, taking good notes. We've got the advantages of rangefinders that have slope on them, so we can get all the different numbers we need. All of that helps create better decision making during the round of golf. And I think when it comes down to, when you look at a Player of the Year award or making the cut in a state open or winning an assistance event, it's one shot. It's one shot here, it's one shot there. And if we can do things to make our decision making better, that'll certainly help. So.
Okay. Next Player of the Year, Rob LeGritz in 2008. I remember Rob when he was a young assistant pro, working at Shinnecock. I consider him like our Section's modern day Faldo. He totally revamped his golf swing and golf game. He was a nice player, but not the player that he is today. I know he made a commitment with an instructor, but in your points about what made you a Player of the Year, I'd like to maybe you talk about how you committed to an instructor in revamping your entire golf swing.
Sure. Thanks, Daryl. I guess it started out about 10 years ago. I played some pretty good golf and actually didn't know where the ball was going. And it was really frustrating to me because I'd play well in tournaments and then I'd be playing well in tournaments and all of a sudden this shot to the left or this hook would come about and I would start spraying the ball all over the place. Felt comfortable, but knew I needed to do something about my golf swing. I worked for a guy who was probably sitting out in the sun. It was Tom Wilson. In 2000 at Martin Downs Country Club, and I won a few Club Pro events in the Winter Series. And he said to me, he said, you can play. He goes, you mind if I watch you hit some golf balls? So I said, sure. Went out there and hit some shots, and I was peering everyone right at the flag. He looked at me and goes, yeah, that's quite interesting. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? He goes, I'm going to sum up your golf career in two statements here. He goes, you're a great player in spite of your golf swing. And that made a lot of sense to me because I would play well in tournaments and then all of a sudden I would just lose it and shoot really good numbers, come into a tournament and shoot a couple rounds in the 60s and then have like a 78. And it was really frustrating because I felt like I was playing good, but the ball wasn't going where I wanted to. So he explained to me that we needed to make some changes in the golf swing. So it took, I'd say, probably took about 8 to 10 years to really get those changes to take place. And over the last 3 or 4, I've really narrowed it down to, just kind of feeling the golf swing where we got it. And the bullet points that I actually wrote down are things that I try to do now that the golf swing is actually solid. I really try to focus more of my time and effort on the short game. And this happens in a week. Being a director of golf, I've got a great team behind me at Glen Arbor, but also the time management, like every guy here has talked about, is really difficult. So the things that I wrote down for the first 5. I try to do this every week. If I can focus on all this stuff every week and get all this stuff done within a week, I feel like that I've prepared myself best for all the tournaments that are coming up. And you can see most of it's short game with inside 100 yards. The one thing that I do, or what I did do in the 10 years when we were switching my swing, was I hit a lot of golf balls. I had so many golf balls, I was wearing faces off 9 irons and 8 irons. So Titleist was nice enough to send me 9 irons every couple months because I had no grooves left. But after that, once we got the swing down, we were able to focus on this stuff here. This stuff, is where you're going to score. As a young assistant, if you don't have a family, if you don't have time constraints that bring you home like a wife or kids or anything like that, the one thing that I suggest you do is if you're at the golf course, stay at the golf course. Practice until dark. Get up early. Work out as much as you can. I mean, hit golf balls and work in a short game until you can't see the ball anymore. That was something that I did as a kid, and then of course I got married and had kids, and then time constraints get a little bit more pressing. So you're going to have to be a little bit more diligent with actually how you practice. That being said, going into tournaments, I make sure that every week before the tournament that I cover these first 5 on the list, which really focuses on my touch around the greens, focuses on my putting, my chipping, because you're not always going to hit the ball good. And then physical workouts are huge for me. To get the endorphins firing, some people use Bud Lights to get the endorphins firing. I like to go to the gym. Also a few Bud Lights here and there, but so anyway, if you actually can go and find yourself a good trainer and work on explosive movements, a couple times a week, that'll really help your golf game without a doubt. And then if you can get into some cardio workout or something like that, that'll also help you for when you're playing the long tournament rounds. As far as playing, I try to play as much as I can. Play with members a couple times a week, and then try to work with Coach Tom as much as I can, which is probably a couple times a month. Always want to have a pair of eyes on me because there's times where I will be hitting the ball good, and I'll go see him and he'll say, well, you're not hitting as good as you think. We'll make some changes and I'll actually hit it even better. So, over time, focus on your short game. Hit as many balls as you can. Don't drink as much beer as you can. Work out as much as you can, and really just focus on talking to better players. If you can have access to play with the Danny Balins and the Rick Hartmans, well, I don't know if I'm playing Rick, but Danny Balins and Frank Benzyls and Greg Visconti's, the more that you can play with the better players and see what they're doing and talk to them about your golf game, the better you're going to get. That's the bottom line.
I didn't mean to skip over Rick, but he doesn't even play or practice, so I figured he didn't have anything to say anyway. Matter of fact, I don't even know how you played enough tournaments to win Player of the Year in 2000 and 2001, Rick. But I have to say, I've known Rick the longest around here. We actually roomed together in 1984 on the South African tour. I actually introduced him to his wife Claudette, who he probably doesn't forgive me for that since. But I knew Rick when he was working hard on his golf game, exclusively with Ledbetter. Took a lot of lessons, and I met with Coach Jim Lair. So I know there's a past with Rick. He may seem like he doesn't really care about the game or practice the game, but I know he has spent half his life working as hard as he can possibly work on it when he was trying to be successful on the European tour, both with his coach, mental and physical coaches. And he was, won the Swaziland Open in 1984. He was a really, really good player. Probably one of the best ball strikers. If anyone in this room has had a chance to play with Rick, you would know that, and we've played a lot with Nick Price, he's one of the best ball strikers in the country. But I have to say, since he probably stopped trying so hard on the European, he's much a better player now than he was when he tried so hard. So that might be a little something you might want to ask about Rick. But Rick, if you can talk, expand a little bit about your key points on what made you a Player of the Year in 2001.
I'm just impressed you remembered 1984. That's right, I don't even remember that far back. What year did I win again? 2000. We had to go a long way back for that one also. listening to the guys and everything, and when we did this at Deepdale, the one thing one thing keeps on coming back about all the players at Austin is, all these guys are really competitive. And not everybody is that competitive. But these guys we all love playing with each other, we love giving each other hard times, and it's fun to go out and play. And for me, and this is just for me, the important part is to see what some of the stuff Danny said, and some of the stuff Frankie said, and Rob and Greg is, you have to find what works for you. Not everyone is the same. Not everyone can dedicate 10 years to working on the swing, which is amazing that he did, and he swings beautifully now. Everyone has a different approach. My approach is much more relaxed now. I was terrible when I played the tour, obviously. Probably the best thing I ever did when I didn't that successful over there, and I got to go over here and get a job at Atlantic Golf Club. I see Lowell's here. Thank God Lowell built the golf course, and thank God I'm the pro there, Lowell. This is a much better lifestyle than that whole playing stuff. But for me, it's more the fun of the whole thing and the enjoyment of just going out and play and being very competitive. That is the key. And for me, it's a much better thing to keep a much more relaxed attitude towards playing. And the goals of the playing of the year and all of the events, that will happen eventually. But you take one turn at a time. You get ready for whichever best fits you. Rob, the last time we did it, gets up at 5:30 in the morning and goes work out. I know Darryl does it, I know I don't. But that's good for Rob because he feels he might have an edge. He'll do a little bit more than most people. So, I think the big thing about playing well and playing and winning awards, and if that's your goal, but to go out and have a good time, play golf. It's a great game to play. We all enjoy it. There's many different ways to play it. But I think the number one thing is you have to do what's right for you. I love all the stuff about the mental stuff. It's amazing. I just want to show you the stuff the guys wrote about. And there's a lot of similarities amongst all of us. Time management, priorities, practice, all this stuff, we all do. And so that's a way to just go through this stuff and pick out some good things that work for you. And that's the only thing I can say is the most important thing. You have to find out what works best for you. Practicing before an event, playing before an event. Do you like to play? I heard you took a lot of money from Frankie. You have to find out what suits you to get ready for an event. So when you go to an event, you're ready to play. I think that's the most important part. So that's my main deal.
And then me, I was lucky enough to win it in 94, 95, and a long time after that in 2003. Very similar stories, really. I'm actually surprised I was an assistant when I won this. I was actually head pro the whole time. I guess I played more when I was an assistant, but I guess when I did get to play tournaments, you cherished it. I think just to be a player, you got to love competition. You've got to accept it. I think I played mostly by feel. I felt like I would feel where the golf club was. I was never really mechanical, but I knew what I wanted to feel when I went and hit a cut shot or a draw or a low shot. I think I play by feel, so I wrote in my notes that learn your swing. It's kind of like I said, Brownie doesn't swing like a Britz, Benzyl doesn't like Piscani, and I don't swing like Hardman, but everybody has their own swing, and you got to know what causes a good shot, what causes a bad shot. So I think knowing your swing can make you a better player, and not being, it worked for Lebritz to, just get a coach and overhaul it. Maybe he felt like he, needed that at that time to be more fundamentally sound, and I think that does work sometimes. But I think a lot of the great players play by feel. I think I practice and focus mainly on the short game. I'm kind of known as a pretty good putter, but I think I'm very good with the wedge. Wedges around the greens. I kind of relate to trying to be as good as Bobby Hines with the wedge in the bunker around the greens. Obviously it's easier to make a 6-foot putt than a 10-foot putt, but you've got to have a stroke that goes with it. I think I'm, as you know, everybody talks about my stroke and my putting, but I think I'm a very good greens reader. I think that's a huge part on being a really good player. Everyone here talk in their notes about the short game. It is mandatory if you want to play well and shoot good scores that you have to have a great short game. And that is a learned trait. And you know, you don't just wake up and have it. You learn that. So I think that is a very, very important factor.